We're actually also a sponsor of Mobile Monday, which I will talk to you all about in just a little bit. So this is a Mac. You'll have to forgive me, I'm not a Mac person. So here we go. Who are we? Anyone here know who Device Anywhere is? By the way, raise your hand. Okay. So we have a little work to do. We are based out in Silicon Valley, California. We're a privately held company. VCs are Motorola Ventures and Innovacom, which is an arm of France Telecom. We are about 150 employees, and we have operations all over the world, in U.S., Europe, as well as Asia and Latin America. And our products and services are primarily for testing mobile applications, any application, any platform. So our users are primarily the developer community. And our flagship product is called Test Center, which we are actually demoing in the building across the way. I don't remember what the name of that is.
Design Factory.
The Design Factory, where there's also food. So very quickly, why do we do what we do? Testing, when it comes to mobile, is essential. Your applications may need to run across a variety of different platforms, a variety of different devices, and they need to work. So for the developers, it's a challenging thing because there are lots of different devices and lots of different platforms over a large variety of geographies. So one size doesn't fit all, and we have been serving the developer community for over 7 years now through our service called Test Center, so that they can have access to over 2,000 mobile devices that we connect to servers, which I'll show you a picture of, so that they can have access or remote connection to a live device and test on that device from wherever they're located over the internet. It's software as a service, so it's pay as you go, by the way. And this is a snapshot of what it looks like. Now, this may look a little odd, and I can't carry these with me because a black box with wires connected to it may not pass through customs as easily as at one point. But this is a close-up of our data center in California. So as you can see here, these devices are on. That means somebody is using them from wherever they're located over our internet-based service. The wires connect all of the inputs and the outputs of the device to a server. So you're getting access to a real device. You're able to interact with the hardware of the device. This is not emulation or simulation. This is a real device that you, and only you, will really be interacting with during the time that you're testing. Some ask that, do we have replicas of popular devices? We do, and we also have a reservation system, so the more popular devices you can reserve in advance. And these have also been called Frankenphones, and other names have been used to describe the racks that we have. So feel free to use whatever you want. Just as I said before, just a little bit of a deep dive. The real issue with development and with testing and QA is that you access the hardware of the device. So I do want to stress that you can open and close phones, you can interact with the touch screen, you can power cycle, interact with the accelerometer, and those types of things, which is very important. Also, for those developing rich media applications, you do the accurate LCD display, pixel by pixel, so that's extremely important for you to be able to access. By the way, the demo also showcases how this works for you, so if you get a chance later on to pop over there, that'd be good. Just look at who our customers are and I think it works. Yeah. So really the whole ecosystem, anyone interested in bringing a product or a service to the mobile platform, use our technology or use Test Center. So it's not just the telco sector, really it's all the vertical marketplaces that you can imagine have products and services to offer on the mobile platform. So very quickly, and I know I only have a few minutes left, I wanted to give you guys a snapshot, not just of what we do and who we are and how fabulous we are, but also a report that we've just issued that may be of interest for you to strike up some discussion around some of the more popular devices, models, operating systems, platforms, and whatnot that we have been witnessing on our service. As I indicated, we've been around for 7 years. Just in 2009, there's been over 400,000 hours of testing on our service. So as you can imagine, people have been very interested in finding out what are the most popular devices and whatnot that are being tested on. So we actually launched the U.S. version of a mobile metrics report a year ago at the CTIA conference in 2009, and this just recently, about a week ago at the OTA conference, we launched the first metrics report that covers what we're seeing in our service in Europe. So this, again, is based on our service. It's not based on all the devices that are out there in Europe. It's actually specific to our test centers, which have the largest amount of devices, which is UK, Germany, France, and Spain. And I'm going to go through a few highlights from our findings from this report that may be just interesting to strike up some discussion. The highlights will compare the characteristics of U.S. and also some of the findings of our EU report for you to just kind of understand what the differentiators are. So, and just to be specific, the European hours were about 350,000 hours. I think the overall hours were about 350,000 hours. The European devices were about 400 unique EU devices in terms of models. So just to be clear on how the testing was done. More on the methodology if you want to talk to me later. So, surprise, surprise, the most used or most tested device on our service is Nokia by a landslide, I would say, and I'll emphasize that a little bit more when I show you what we found in the U.S. But over the past 4 quarters, over 50% of testing has been done on Nokia devices. So that may mean that we have more Nokia devices. That may mean that we have there may be a need to do more testing on Nokia devices. But again, this may be something for you to add to some of the other intelligence that's out there in the market as far as what's the most devices being sold or what's the most devices being used. But right now, Nokia owns, as far as testing is concerned, our European service by a significant share. If you compare that to U.S. very quickly, BlackBerry has 25% of the U.S. testing time, and that's followed by Motorola, Samsung, LG, Apple. But one of the characteristics between the U.S. and Europe I would like to point out is there's a bit more balance in the U.S. than there is in Europe. As you can see, there's a hockey stick curve when you're looking at the Nokia usage over here. Just to further emphasize, there's a bit of different priorities just to delve in. Nokia, 54% of our testing has been seen in Europe. U.S., 7.6% of testing is on Nokia devices. On the flip side, BlackBerry, 2.6% in Europe on our service, and BlackBerry is at 25.7%. So, and we've emphasized a lot more of this on our report, but again, these are just highlights. Another thing we evaluated was feature phones versus smartphones. So long story short, it's a bit of a balance right now between testing on feature phones and smartphones. And smartphones we define as any device that's supported by an operating system. And now I know that there's a fine line between the definition of the two. So that has not changed in the past 12 months. There's a lot of hype around smartphones right now, so we'll see how that evolves. Between the U.S. and Europe, that hasn't changed either in the past 12 months. But we'll continue to follow that. One thing I did want to point out is also the most popular OSs. Symbian, thanks to Nokia, is right now the most popular operating system being tested on our service. And then that's actually Android development, I did want to point out, has increased significantly as well. So a couple of pointers for Europe. And then if you compare that to the U.S., we have BlackBerry at about 50%. And then that's followed by Android, which is also significantly growing in the U.S., as well as iPhone, believe it or not. iPhone testing, we have 3 generations of iPhone devices in the U.S. now, as well as the iPad, and that has grown significantly over the past several quarters as well. One was Europe and one was U.S. And I can talk more specifically about this, but I'm almost out of time. But again, as I pointed out, Android growth in Europe is significant. 4.9% of smartphone developer time versus 1% 12 months ago was on Android. So that's something to keep in mind. And people are still hoping to see the benefits of their Android investments. And finally, the iPhone, where is it? We don't quite know. It's sort of a wild card right now. But I will say that the developers that were hoping to only rely on the iPhone toolkit in terms of doing all of their development are now using our service much more. So does that mean eye fragmentation? Could be. Something to discuss. But that's it for this report. Next report will be out in